I've been following the Angels a little bit closely, and after my last video I just dropped, which was actually delayed because I thought they would make another move in their pitching staff, it seems like everything's still going downhill, and with the latest news about them not selling the team anymore, I don't know what's happening to the Angels or what's going to happen. But I can tell you one thing, maybe now that they're not trying to sell the team, they'll focus on building it up. Let's get into it. Welcome back, everybody, to the Touching Bases podcast. Obviously, I am not in the studio. I am out travel for work for about 10 days, so that grind is killing me, though, and I'm ready to go to bed. Jet lag. I'm on East Coast. Ugh. Moving on. On January 23rd, the owner of the Angels, Moreno family, decided to call it quits in selling the team. Originally, in 2022, towards the end, they were looking to sell the team, find a new owner, and just kind of relieve all of the burden that they have on the organization as a whole. Now, their stadium is starting to fall apart. It's a little bit older. I don't take my word for it. I mean, there's probably plenty of people that have been to the Angel Stadium and think that it looks beautiful from the outside, but once you go inside, it's a bit crammed, it's a bit overcrowded, and it could use a couple updates now that it's been over 20 some odd years. But the big thing is that the fans are being let down because of the management of the players. They're signing big names that just don't work out. Let's look at some of the big names that they've come across that they're hoping to be big stars and just never work out. Josh Hamilton came over from Texas, being a home run slugger that we all thought was going to make the Hall of Fame, until it ran into substance abuse and a lot of other mental issues that basically became his demise. As soon as he showed up to the Angels, it didn't work out. Albert Pujols, another big name to sign with the Angels that everybody was looking forward to as he was a megastar with St. Louis Cardinals, didn't exactly work out. He performed when he needed to, but he was not the star that they were signing big contract for. Lastly, Vernon Wells coming over from the Toronto Blue Jays. He was a star with Toronto, and signing with the Angels was supposed to be a big bat that just simply did not work out. Again, sounds familiar like the Mariners. I mean, Robbie Cano and Nelson Cruz, not the best. But these are three major big contracts that the Angels invested in, and then they just didn't pan out. And now the latest and greatest and current is going to be Anthony Rendon. Now, I don't really want to make this video all about Anthony Rendon, but he is a big factor in this whole thing, and he's stealing the headlines. Anthony Rendon was able to sign a contract in 2020 with the Los Angeles Angels, where he signed a 7-year, $245 million contract, which was the highest contract on their payroll besides Mike Trout, which started with a $25.5 million salary for the first year. The second year, $27.5 million, $36 million in 2022, and this last season he made $38 million. Now, since 2020, 4 years ago, as we enter 2024, he's only played 200 games. Yeah, and it's been a massive decline in his stats. You're playing 200 games in 4 seasons. Now, he has been plagued by injury, but he's also been plagued by suspensions. When he started with Washington Nationals, he was a star in 2013. He would start with 98 games in his rookie season and batted .265, but he didn't really break out until, I would say, 2017, where he played 147 games that year at third base and hit a .301 with a .403 and a .530 slugging percentage. The guy was ripping the ball, and he was making a name for himself to become the biggest star. 2019 obviously was a star year. He was just picking up from where he was before, where he slashed a .319, .412, and a .598 slugging percentage, which is very good, hitting 34 home runs and 126 RBIs. He also upped his walk percentage in 2019 from 2018 to 12% from 9%, and he only struck out 13% of the time. That is superstar level big money deals, which makes it completely understandable for the Angels to go after him. Of course, things didn't work out that way. In 2020, when he started with LA, he only played 52 games and only had 232 plate appearances, where he struck out 13.4% of the time, which was pretty much exactly what he did before, and he walked 16% of the time, so you would think that his plate discipline and his vision has gone up. Problem is that he only played a certain amount of games due to an injury, and he hit .286, which still seemed promising if he was able to come back the next season. But it didn't, just kept going down. Next season, he played a couple more games, at 58 games during that season, and he hit 6 home runs. The following season, he only played 47 games where he hit 5 home runs. And of course, his strikeouts started to go up, where we went from 16% in 2021 to 18% of the time he struck out in 2022. Now, 2022, he was very popular as far as avoiding the media, trying his best not to talk to anybody. He's not really a let's talk to the media kind of guy. He just likes to do his own thing. Now, the perception on this has been very back and forth when it comes to Angels fans or commentators and reporters, but of course, I don't know if it's really the best idea to let reporters be the judge of someone's character. Most of the time, they're egging on these players to make a scene so they have something to put out, build their own name and their own brand. Whether or not it's relevant in this case, I don't know, but this is just kind of my assessment of journalism, which is kind of, I guess, what I'm doing here. So, hypocrite? Yeah. And in the beginning of 2023, which was probably the worst where he really became famous at this point, is the fact that he almost got into a fight with a Oakland A's fan who supposedly called him a bitch from the stands, where Anthony Rendon confronted him from the stand where he's leaning over the rail, grabbed him by his shirt, and called him out for what he said he was going to do, basically trying to intimidate him. The guy denied it, and of course when he let go of the guy's shirt, he went to take a swing. Of course he missed. A little slap, most likely. Not appropriate, of course, just being professional, but I feel like there's something more going on here within the clubhouse, and maybe with his performance, and maybe with his teammates and how they view him. But either way, it could be a cluster of a lot of things, even personal things at home, that built up to where he had to lash out on someone calling him a bitch, which I guess words hurt. July 4th, he got injured again, and there was not really much of a media talk about what happened after he fell the ball off of his leg, which they claimed to be a bone bruise. Now, I don't feel like injuries are something that the players are going to be responsible for telling the media what they have, and I feel like the organization should be the one to discuss exactly what's going on. And then this is where I think his trust for the organization really shot down. As soon as he got his injury, they claimed that it was just a bone bruise, as they put him on the injured reserve list. I don't know if this was like public relations talk or something like that to get the fans not to feel like they lost their most expensive player on the team, but lying about something is not exactly the right way to go if you are going to put out a press release at all. You could simply say that he has an injury on his leg and it's unknown how long he's going to be out. But they went ahead and said it's just a bone bruise, where Anthony Rendon cited towards the end of the season in September 15th, 2023, so you're talking 3 months after the fact, where he comes out and says, I don't understand why the Angels wanted to declare that it was a bone bruise when indeed it was a tibia fracture. It was obviously significantly worse than what they're claiming. Should this be really a big deal? I don't know, but it does raise a few eyebrows on the organization, given the fact that over the course of this entire year they were trying to sell the team, and they are now lying about their best player's injury in the middle of the season, where at this point they already knew that they weren't going to be making the playoffs. So was this a realm to keep the price up for the Angels and hopefully find a buyer for the team, knowing that they still have the most expensive player on the team on the injured list? Or was this just simply them trying to cover his ass and help him out, which I don't know how it helps him, because if he's injured, he's injured. And if he's out for a significantly long time for a bone bruise versus a fractured tibia, it sounds like he just simply doesn't want to play. Now, let's also consider the fact that he is renowned for not wanting to play. He has shown up multiple times to press conferences, and he's also recently had an interview, which doesn't help him at all, where he talks about how the game is too long, how he doesn't enjoy watching baseball because it's too slow and too boring.
We got to shorten the season, man. It's too many dang games. 162 games in 185, 3 days, whatever it is. Man, no. We got to shorten this bad boy up. Let's go.
And this is where it gets a lot of fans angry. He says the season's too long. He doesn't like to play it. He doesn't really like to watch the sport. Now, does this mean that he hates baseball, or is it because he's bored of it and he doesn't like the antics and politics of it? I don't really want to completely defend Anthony Rendon, but given the situation of the Angels organization, I don't know if I'd want to play for them either if I was a star player that was making a ton of money and had the potential of doing very well. On the other hand, how long is too long when the last 4 years you haven't played more than 60 games? It sounds like you're playing exactly obviously the amount of games you want to play. Now, Jonathan Papelbon decided to come out and say some stuff. Of all people, he's probably not the best person to ask, but he decided to, and I'm not going to quote, a paraphrase, if you want to play only 60 games, sign that contract and give half of your money back. Fair enough, I guess. That makes sense. For Anthony, I don't know. I think it'd be best for him to go to another team. I don't know if that's going to happen just because teams are very wary about whether or not he's going to perform, whether he wants to play, or if he's going to get injured again by something minor or maybe crazy. Hopefully he doesn't foul a ball off his leg again and break a bone, but I think it'd be best for the team to let him go, get rid of his contract so they can spend money elsewhere. Now, let's keep in mind the Angels aren't out of money. They, like I said in my last video, are $50 million below the threshold for even a luxury tax, so they obviously, like every other year in the past, could spend a lot more money and get actual good players, but they haven't spent a dime on their starting rotation, which tells me that if their starting rotation is going to average more than 4 runs per outing, then their bats better wake up and hit more than 5 runs per game if they want to take any wins home. What would I say? I would say since the Nationals are building up their team, the Red Sox, who still need a third baseman, maybe there's a trade deal that's involved there. But I don't know if it's the organization or not, but maybe behind closed doors, his agent and maybe Anthony Rendon himself can talk to other teams, probably against his contract, but maybe his agent can talk to other teams and see if there's any interest in him and maybe get the inside of maybe he just doesn't want to play for the Angels anymore, because clearly he was happy in Washington and he was able to perform. Whether these injuries cause an actual issue or maybe it is a good time for him to sign a contract where he only plays 60 games and takes half the money. Who knows? What do you guys think? Leave it down in the comments below. I appreciate you guys watching the video. Go ahead and like, subscribe, or dislike and leave a comment, and we'll see you guys on the next one, and hopefully I'll get these videos out as soon as I possibly can. See ya.